Hi, I'm Vanessa Simone,
I'm Mimi Hayes,
and we are
the Girls Next Pour.
Pour.
As you know, this is a creativity podcast for
Mhm.
anyone who feels the need to create.
Create.
So, what's on the docket today, V?
Yes, this one's a good one. It's tenacity and grit for your dreams as a creative when your life is sucking your soul.
Emphasis on the suck.
Suck.
Yeah, this is
Soul depleting from your body.
when you feel like a shell of a person and you still got big dreams. So, we're going to start with this one. When's the first time you felt your soul was being sucked out of your body?
I think when I got my first corporate job,
Yep.
it was literally corporate literally kills everything creative.
That
It
tracks.
just is the life sucking, bulldozing, evil system that just tears you away from who you actually are.
Yeah. And what was that job? Was that an
I was a
engineering
sales
job?
engineer, yeah. So I was just selling these products. It was so boring. Um, and that was the first time I was like, oh my God, corporate is jail.
Yeah.
And because this was back in 2014 and 2015. I think 2015 is when I realized, because I mean, you're sold the lie of, go to school, get a good job, then you can pay off your life and your dreams and everything else, and you can afford things. And I was making decent money, but good God, the way it just sucks the life out of you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was kind of when I decided, okay, I can't have this be the thing that I look forward to. I can't just be looking forward to the weekends. And that's when I decided.
Weekend warrior.
Exactly. That's when I decided to start searching for the things that I liked and just start attending. Um, and that really helped a lot. And now I'm in another place. I am at another corporate job and I'm planning my exit strategy right as we speak, because there my fear is like getting pregnant, driving in traffic every day, and then like living for the corporate world. And what's crazy is at my office there were a couple people who suddenly they got an office, right? Oh my God, they got an office.
Mm.
And I was just like, oh my God, I'm in the bad place, because your life is revolved. This is the best thing that's happened to you, is getting an office in the office.
An office within the office.
Like, talk about a sad life. And that was when I was like, I've got to figure this out, because I cannot be that person. And it's crazy because these new people who've gotten offices are now walking around the office as if they are the hot stuff. And I'm like, I have vowed to myself, I will never get an office. I don't ever want an office in an office, ever, ever. And if that point ever gets to me, you better slap me. Still, I give you permission. It's recorded in 4K. You can slap me.
I will knock you back into 2014.
Yes.
So, that is wild. I think, okay, so I've had one corporate job, but that wasn't even the first time my soul was sucked.
When was that for you?
Teaching. My first year as a teacher and the second year as a teacher. But also, I didn't have the benefit of making a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I wasn't like getting the benefits of a corporate job. I was just living this, hellhole of, waking up at the crack of dawn, driving. My eyes, I feel like I had to tape them open. Like, I was so tired going into work, and then I would have to like sleep on this couch in the teacher's lounge, which was a disgusting couch. And I was just like, these are my options. I must rest. Like, I was just so burned out. So burnout is really real. And I think what sold it for me, when I think I knew I needed to get out, was I was driving to work one morning, and it was in traffic, and I was just like hating my life. But I started choking on a muffin. I was like eating a muffin, and I was choking on it, and I was like, if I die on the way to my shitty job on a shitty muffin,
on a shitty road, on a shitty place.
And I was just like, who am I? Like, you look in the mirror and you don't know who you are anymore. And then I felt that again in my corporate job, right before the pandemic, I got a job at a like corporate event planning, like HR, like we'd run these events and I would
Mhm.
book the speakers, and their whole messaging was how great we should treat our employees well. Meanwhile, we are being treated like absolute shit. My boss like yelled at me and called me dumb, made me cry. Like I go home, all I could do is put on Netflix and order some food. That's literally
Mhm.
all I had the bandwidth for.
Mhm.
And so it can be really hard to break that cycle. I think we should talk about like breaking that
Yes,
cycle,
absolutely.
how to find your way out, which
Mhm.
is where the grit comes in because it's
Mhm.
not fun.
It's difficult. It is I think one of the hardest things as a creative when your essence, your soul, everything that you love is being sucked away from you, and you feel at the end of the day you can't even give to yourself because that job, that circumstance, that situation has taken all of who you are. And so that's a good segue to go into how do we eliminate that, because and how do we continue to have the tenacity, the grit, the inspiration for our dreams when our current circumstance might not be the best circumstance, but we might not yet have the finances, we might not yet have the resources or whatever to get to where we want to be. What can we do to make those small changes in the meantime? And I will say for me, so I am a morning person, which I know people are like, "Oh my god, girl, don't tell me." But one thing I did whenever I notice my job is starting to suck, I've purposely forced myself to get up even earlier. And my brain is best in the morning. So figuring out when is your brain best in whether it's the daytime, the evening, whatever, and force yourself to give you those hours. So I I think cuz my first corporate job, I lived South Denver and I had to be in Boulder every day. So that's an hour and a half. That means I was leaving from 5:30 a.m. until 7. I was driving because I had to be at the office at 7 a.m. God, dear God,
Oh
why?
my god.
Awful. I was literally waking up at 4 a.m. to journal, to write, to get my creative thoughts out because I was thinking, this is my best brain cells should not be going to these people of this job that I simply just don't care about. It is a means for me to pay my bills and it is a means for me to get out of here. Why am I giving my best hours to them? So I made like sometimes it would be even earlier than 4 and
Girl, you
it's
crazy.
crazy. And I know that I know that this is a lot, but I there was when you get to this low point that's so low, you almost get to the point where you're like, yeah, that actually sounds better than being at my job and hating who I am when I get home from work. So yeah, I would wake up extremely early and do that. That's one of the things that I did, but Mimi, what have you done? You might have a more
Well,
practical answer
well,
for
I was gonna say too. I feel like around 2015 was when you took a comedy class.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
also like fueling yourself with something to learn or something another thing to go to that you
Mhm.
can look forward to. And I think for me it was writing, and my time that I got to have was evenings and weekends. And
Mhm.
just barely because I had a lot of work to take home. It wasn't
Right.
like when I clocked out I was
You
done.
right.
It just keeps going because you have to grade and make lesson plans and call parents and like all these
Mhm.
different things. So it never really ended. But when I did, you know, shut down shop
Mhm.
and decided I'm done with teaching writing for right now, I would write. And I remember I had one week, Saturday mornings was when my
Mhm.
best friend Kristen and I would go to a coffee shop. We'd meet in Denver, and we would, you know, yap for 30 minutes, get a coffee, and then we would write. And then we could pass the writing over and say, hey, can you look at
Mhm.
this? Can you check this out? And that was how I started my first book, was evenings and weekends.
Mhm.
Um, and it's really hard because you also burn yourself out. But
Mhm.
if it's something that you genuinely look forward to and kind of keeps you up at night, you're like, oh, I really want that time to like finish that chapter, or I really
Mhm.
want And then I started doing stand up. And so I'd have
Mhm.
Friday nights would be stand up nights. And so I'd go to the dive bar, do a 5 minute set about God knows what.
Mhm.
And, I would look forward to that. And so you have to find something that you look forward to. Um, as well as what we started doing was we started meeting up on weekends.
Mhm.
We started planning for the
Yes,
future.
we started
And
planning.
when you find someone that has similar goals as you hold on to that for dear life. And I'll
Mhm.
never forget that conversation. Was we were both living our corporate crappy lives, and I feel like
Mhm.
we were like in my car, like we were like going
Yeah, we were
somewhere.
going to, I think it was Belmar, the shops, and we were going to a coffee shop or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, or we were somewhere over that area.
And I was like, sometimes don't you think it'd be cool to move to New York City?
And I was like, "Yes,
And I
are
was like,
you in
wouldn't
my
that be
head?"
cool? Wouldn't that be fun? And then
Mhm.
we had that conversation in the car. It was very brief. And then it was a year later. It was a
Mhm.
long time that had been like incubating in my brain.
Right.
And I texted you, do you still ever think about moving to New York City? And you said every damn day.
Day.
And I was like, I think we should go.
Mhm.
And then from there, we found our goal was we want to get to New York City. And so then
Mhm.
we go to the coffee shop. Okay, what kind of jobs do you think you can get? Okay, how's your resume looking? Okay, all right, what do we do? Like, what
Mhm.
neighborhoods do we live in? And we just kind of started planning, and we weren't ready like when we went,
Yeah, and you're never going to be ready, that's the
but at
thing.
least we had the camaraderie
Mhm.
of meeting up once a week and talking about our dreams like they're real, like they're going to happen.
Mhm.
That's part of it too, is like if you don't believe it yourself, you have to find someone else who's going to buy
Right.
into it so that you can get yourself there.
Mhm.
But we held each other accountable, me but a bit aggressively.
Yeah, but
So
you need that. You need that because we tend to fall into our traps of comfort. And I feel like I'm currently in a trap of comfort right now. And you need someone who's going to be like, what the hell are you doing? I had, in addition to you, I had a friend who was like, you say that you talk to me about this every time, but you don't do it. What are you doing? And they had to be harsh with me. And
Mhm.
honestly, sometimes that harshness actually does help. And between Mimi and friends, but mostly Mimi, she would always remind me, like, girl, what's your goals? Your goals, your goals, your goals. Because we genuinely cared for each other. But and then Mimi ended up moving out there, and then I took about like 9 months or so later. But one thing about me is I end up just like putting my head down, telling nobody, and then surprise. And that's probably what's going to happen this next go round because you just don't want somebody to like almost infringe upon those dreams that you have, the wrong people per se.
Yeah.
But I do want to go back to the camaraderie that we had was very helpful because we were meeting up every single week. We kept refreshing our brains dreams and goals, and it was nice to have that camaraderie. So if you're a person, let's say you're in, I don't know, bumfuck Idaho, or I don't know, and you're thinking I need to get out, see if you can, even if you could just make a video on TikTok or something and find other creators or people who have creative or like minds when it comes to creating, meet up with them.
Mhm.
Share their goals with you. The people in corporate, they won't get it. I remember being in that corporate and I was so misunderstood. They were like, Vanessa, they used to call me Vanessa Land because my brain was always out of.
Is that where that came
It
from?
did actually. It came from my coworkers hating on me and them being like, "Your brain is so weird. You have the most random thoughts. You have the most weirdest. Your brain. You're just in Vanessa Land." And I was like, "Wait, that's actually a beautiful name." Anyway, so yeah, haters can spark some good things too, but
Yeah, and that's great that you took that as a positive thing,
mhm,
and cuz that could have easily destroyed you.
easily.
Like I'm hearing
Mhm.
that and I'm like that's so mean.
I
Like that would have
know.
I would have cried at that like for sure.
Mhm.
But that you took that and pivoted it and were like, "Well, you don't understand, but I'm going to take that misunderstanding
Mhm.
and use it to my benefit." I love
Mhm.
that.
And
I
now
love
that's
that.
the name of my company is Vanessa Land. So, um, yeah. So that's great. But camaraderie is very, very helpful. And then going back to having a frequent time where you can meet up with those creative people, or if you genuinely don't have people who are creative, the beauty of living in this day and age is we actually have access to a lot more than what we ever could have had access even 10 years ago when this happened for us. But from books to podcasts to all of these things starting to feed your mind, because another thing is driving that commute from for an hour and a half each way, so 3 hours a day. I had podcasts on creativity, I had um audiobooks, all these different things to start to fuel my mind. And then even at nighttime, one another thing to help alter your brain is to listen to very positive just listen to very positive um books or podcasts or anything overnight. So play it very lowly overnight, because your subconscious, when you go to sleep, whatever you have watched first is kind of what you think about in the morning. But if you play positive and all these affirmations and things through the night, it helps you in the morning to wake up very
Hmm.
energized, because you're hearing that over and over and over again. And because we have so many thoughts a day, I think it's about 50,000 thoughts. By altering your brain to start to have those kind of thoughts, it really can help change the mindset. Like, even though your circumstance sucks, at least you start to think, I have an idea, how can I get out of this, how can I get out of that. And while corporate, I know it does suck, but also thinking about what are you doing in your corporate life that can help you with your creative life.
Oh
That's
yeah.
helped me a lot, because in my job I'm a training manager, and I'm realizing writing scripts, videos, talking, running meetings, all of these things actually help me with what I want to do, which is speaking and producing and all of these things. So even though it's not where I want to be, it's okay, I'm not where I want to be yet, but how can I make the most of it? Now, I understand there's toxic boxes, toxic people, microaggressions, all these things that happen at work, and sometimes you kind of have to deal with that. But having an end goal in mind really can be helpful in that beneficial thing to get you out, because you're like, okay, you set even setting a timeline. That's another thing.
Mm.
I remember when I was wanting to move to New York, I set a time. I had gone and visited the city and visited for the first time by myself, regardless, nobody else visited, and I loved it. I spent like a couple days doing fashion week, and then a couple days just like, okay, what would it like to be walking the streets here on a Monday where I have to work? What is that like? And I loved it. And I thought, okay, I need to figure this out. So as soon like on the plane, I was crying on the plane back, and I just started planning out, when can I do this? And or how much can I save? I immediately, within like a month of me returning, I pretty much moved from my apartment downtown. I sold a lot of stuff, and then I didn't tell anyone why I was moving back in with my parents. But and if you have parents to move in with that aren't absolutely terrible, that you're very lucky. But I understand that not everybody has those kind of family things. But so moved back in with my parents and pretty much saved every penny from that godforsaken job. And that's how I was able to move. But it was nice having in the back of my mind, like, I know my quit date, I know my quit date, I know my quit date, I'll put up with this,
Mm.
I know my
Mm-hmm.
quit date. Um, a lot harder in this economy right now, because I get that a lot of people, this economy is awful and the
Yeah.
job market is awful. But also maybe that is means that it's time for you to start thinking of what can any side hustles that you can do. And I know it's really difficult to think about a side hustle when you're burnt out, and when your job and your every aspect of your life is sucking your soul. And so in that case, back to the mental health of feeding your mind with things that are positive and with things that help your subconscious to get to that level of kind of out of that mentality in a way is helpful too.
Mm-hmm. I think what you said too about like understanding your skill set in the job that you don't like. Like for
Mhm.
me, I'm a really damn good teacher.
Mhm.
Teaching almost killed me, quite literally, but I'm a really good teacher. And
Mhm.
also that I was on stage all day.
Mhm.
So I, in the back of my mind, knew I'm planning on becoming a stand up comedian.
Mhm.
And so, like, how can I test some material on the kids, like,
Mhm.
appropriately? Not like
Appropriate.
any of
Yeah.
my, like, I don't even have that much R-rated material, but like,
Yeah.
within my capabilities, how could I crack some jokes with the kids? How could I work on my stage presence? My stage presence is like
Mhm.
unparalleled in my opinion because I had to deal with shitty kids
Yeah.
coming for me at
That's
7 a.m. with the attitude
that's a
or
whole new audience.
just apathy or the cell phones, and it's even gotten
Mhm.
so much worse since then.
Mhm.
But when you recognize what you're actually good at, that can carry you through to your next career, to your
Mhm.
next big thing. And it turns out I come back to teaching when I'm working
Mhm.
now, um, because I know that I can find jobs in it. But I also understand I'm never going to be a full time teacher again. It's never going to be my
Mhm.
journey. It used to be my dream. And that just changed and shifted. And
Mhm.
so, like, when I found that out, you know, yes, I don't like being back in the classroom, but I will do it if I am at least chasing my dreams outside of that, right? And
Mhm.
doing it in small ways. And I think if you can find ways to take a class or pay for a master class, like watch
Mhm.
some videos,
And
like
masterclass is wonderful.
mm-hmm,
Because I watched the one with Shonda Rhimes. You have literally people in the industry are telling you a lot of what they're doing, how they do it. And so it's a great way to get access without actually having access,
mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. And something I think is going to be big for me in this next transition is information interviews and picking people's
Mm.
brain.
Mm.
And so, like, if you haven't done it before, go to someone who has
Mm.
and take them out for coffee and say you want to pick their brain. People used to do this with me.
Oh,
People
mhm.
used to do this with
Yeah.
me when I put the book out. They're like, "Can I pick your brain about how you published a book?" And I get coffee with them and I tell them how I did it. Eventually, I figured I could get paid to do that. So now I'm a book coach and I get paid to tell people
Mhm.
how I wrote a book. But, in terms of what's that thing that you really want to do? Like, find someone who's doing it currently and be like, "Hey, can I take you out for coffee? Can I pick your
Mhm.
brain?" And you might be surprised what you can learn from that.
Mhm.
It may not give you all the answers. They may not have like the perfect connection for you, but you can try. Like, you can
Mhm.
certainly put yourself out there in that way and then be like, okay, if they can do it, so can I.
Mhm.
Like, chances are they're going to inspire you in some way to make that leap.
Right.
Or in that conversation, you might be like, oh, it's not as hard as I make it out to be.
Mhm.
I could just do it and figure it out as I go.
Right. And I like that you said that because what you're doing there is you're giving yourself proximity to the goals and to the dreams that you want when you reach out to people who are already doing it. You're making them part of your circle. And so that's a really good tip there.
Yeah. And it can be intimidating. I mean, shoot, like, there are people I'm jealous of right now that I'm like, oh man, I want the things that you have.
Mhm.
But if you approach it in the right way and you're like, hey, like, I have something to offer as well, like, it's
Mhm.
it's a two-way street kind of thing. You can start to build some of those relationships and you know get out of the isolating feeling of being alone. And I think
Mhm.
that's what corporate and these jobs that kind of suck your soul will do to you, is make you feel very alone
Mhm.
and make you feel like there is no hope and there is just, this is going to be it for the rest of my life, and it's
Right.
not. And it only takes one small shift and one small change,
Mhm.
and that may lead to a bigger change. And like, obviously moving across country is a very big
Huge
change.
change, but
But
mhm.
today you can make a change. Today you can reach out to somebody. Today you can make a video and say,
Mhm.
hey, I'm looking for creatives to go get coffee with, um, or who wants to do a podcast, or
Mhm.
there could be things that you could be making right now. And that's what we're doing right now.
Is exactly
And
right
that's what
now.
helped us we're getting out of our funk,
Our yeah.
our slump.
Because while I don't love what I'm doing, I know that now making this podcast, or even we just started a book club with called through the book The Artist's Way. And these little things are helping me day by day, moment by moment, start to get out of this soul sucking funk that I'm in. And also starting new projects and learning to figure that out has also been helpful too, because then I'm not so stuck in the world of, it really just changes your mindset because you're not stuck in the world where you don't want to be, but you're starting to open your eyes and see the world that can be.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't even know what that looks like.
Right.
You don't even know what can be. You mentioned, you took a trip before you made the jump to your new life in New York. And I think that's a really smart move as well. Is go travel to a place that is totally out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Whether or not you decide to move there is up to you.
Yeah.
But go, like, if you can, or say you have a friend in that town, go sleep on their couch. You came and slept on the couch. I pulled out the blow up bed for you.
Yep.
We did that. And if that's feasible for you, it can be a way to really inspire you and see what is possible, because that trip changed everything for you. And there was no amount of harping on you that I could do until you really came and saw it for yourself, and that like led you to, like, I have to move here, I have to make it work. And so then you start taking those steps to make it work.
Right. Absolutely.
Yep. So it's hard. Like,
it's really hard. We're not going to sugarcoat it. It's going to be hard to get out of that funk, but you can, like you said, take daily steps. You don't have to take a huge leap in a day. Most things were built, your book wasn't built in a day. Everything is those tiny baby steps that over time build up and get you to that point where you want to be.
Yeah. And if it's starting to feel like Groundhog's Day, which that's me and my therapist talk about this all the time. I'm like, I feel like I'm living in Groundhog's Day in this day that I hate. Like, and today it doesn't feel that way because I'm creating, because I'm making. But on the days when I get up, I do some form of job, I talk to my parents about what's for dinner. We argue about that for 10, 15 minutes until we decide what's for dinner. We're all tired, we're all burnt out, and then everyone's on their phone or watching the TV, and that's the day. And I'm like, I hate that. I hate this day. This day can get fucked.
Yeah.
But it's like, that doesn't have to be the truth. Like, it could be the truth right now, but it doesn't have to be my forever. It's not like I'm going to keep living this day for the rest of my life. Like, I'm going to make a change, and things will change, and that will take time. Something I'm working on is being less impulsive when I feel my soul being sucked and I want that to be done with and over, and I want to move on to my new life. I will go to my new life with zero plan and maximum delusion. And that can be really hard to make adjustments. It can be hard to, like, when I moved to LA for the first time, I was like, I think I just messed up my life. I think I totally screwed it up. Like, when I got there, I was just like, what did I just do? And so it was very hard to adjust when I didn't take the time that I think I might have needed to investigate, go visit, go do this. Well, that, to be fair, I did go visit before I moved there, but I'm just trying to be less impulsive with when I'm chasing my dreams. I want to do it in a way that's more sustainable and that can lead to growth and change, and I can get closer to my dreams if I'm able to stay in that city and I can sustain that life. I can get closer and closer to my dreams.
Right. And I'm kind of the opposite. I plan things for almost too long before taking the plunge. And so we're learning to kind of balance each other out. Like, okay, well, maybe you should think about where you're gonna live, and then, or maybe like you could just go do this. And it's like having another person who's kind of the opposite of you, so that you balance each other out to have that perfect equilibrium, so that I'm not spending my life planning and she's just not just flying on a whim to every which way. But if I have some of the impulse in me to get out there along with the planning, both of us, we have each of that. Each of us have the planning and some of the impulse to make a proper calculated risk Same with investing and all that. But anyway, to have a proper calculated risk so that way you don't have to return to your old life ever again. You don't have to rely on going back to the things that basically support you, because you know that you can now support yourself, is also a skill that you can start to learn in these days while you're not in the situation that you want to be in. So that way you'd never have to come back to a soul sucking circumstance ever.
Yeah, and make no mistake, I mean, chasing your dreams does come with a lot of sacrifice.
Absolutely.
And so,
Mm-hmm.
while it may look like on the other side is just rainbows and ponies and sunshine, you have to do some things you don't want to do sometimes. And like for me, I'm learning to like, I'm gonna have to go back and I'm gonna have to go be a sub. I'm gonna go be a
Mm-hmm.
substitute teacher.
Humbling, like
And
humbling
that's very
yourself.
humbling
Yes.
after
Mm-hmm.
that was a career that I left very intentionally. But this time I'm doing it as a means to survive so that in my all the other time that I'm free, I am becoming a filmmaker. I
Mm-hmm.
am chasing my dream. I am writing scripts. I am
Mm-hmm.
producing things. I'm making things. That's the real life. And over here, that's just how I make money. And
Yeah.
so there's this emphasis and there's this feeling that you're failing if like how you make money is not, that's just how you make money. It doesn't.
Yeah.
And when people ask what do you do, what do you do, what they're really asking is like, how do you sustain yourself in late stage capitalism?
Yeah.
Well, how do you make money? And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, who cares how I make money? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what I do is I'm an artist, is I'm a
Mm-hmm.
storyteller, is I'm a producer, I'm a writer,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a thinker, I'm a maker. That's the kind of questions I
Creative.
want to answer,
Mm-hmm.
is like what I'm doing with all my creativity, not how I make money. Who cares? I was wearing a t-shirt earlier.
Yeah.
It says certified dog lover, and it's from I worked in a doggy daycare for 2 weeks because I was desperate for money. And I was back here when I first got back to Colorado with a new brain bleed. And I was like, I gotta get money somehow. Found a
Mm-hmm.
little doggy daycare, doggy kennel, got there. And they looked at my resume and they're like, why are you here? And I'm like, I just need to make money. Like, I didn't say it like that. I
Yeah,
was like,
but
I
like
love dogs.
you're like,
Like,
I love dogs.
but sometimes you have to really humble yourself. I had managers who were 16 years old teaching me how to pick up dog shit. And I was like, my, how the mighty have fallen. Like, this is so embarrassing. But that's just how I was making money at the time, and
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going to be my forever thing. It only lasted 2 weeks because I was getting debilitating migraines every day. So it just wasn't a good fit for me. But, I needed money. That job was there. I took it. Like, it's as simple as that. It doesn't have to be a whole crisis, but I did feel like it was a crisis because I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm picking up dog shit.
I'm picking up poop. Great. Love that.
And I was wearing that t-shirt earlier. It
Mm-hmm.
made me laugh because I forgot about that.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes because I remember I had to work retail, which I know is not nearly as bad as picking up dog poop, but it was such a step. It was very difficult because it almost took away my confidence, because I almost had to not lower myself. Retail, you guys are important, but when you've gone to school and you've gotten all these degrees, and then you're like, the best job I can get is like retail, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm beyond overqualified, yet I'm working here. It's really difficult, and it really does something to your self-esteem and your confidence. But again, getting into that, okay, who are you and the essence of who you are, and what is it that you can do today to tap more into that, to find that, to revive that person that is the creative within you.
Mm-hmm. That's what the magic is. And,
Mm-hmm.
when I worked at coffee shops, anytime there was downtime, I was whipping out that notebook and I was jotting something down. I
Mm-hmm.
did get fired for that, but they
It's gonna
actually.
make for great stories when when we're at the top where we
I
are,
didn't
right?
understand. I was like, listen, it's 7 a.m. Nobody's inside this
Nobody's in
coffee
there.
shop.
Like
I'm gonna pull out my
I
notebook.
wouldn't care
I'm
as
not
long as
gonna
you serve
be,
the customers. I don't care.
grinding beans. But, like I said, I mean, if you're in a position that you're not happy right now, figure out what it is that you do want to do. see how much of that you can do right now. Find your community, find
Mhm.
someone to hold you accountable, and work your way out of the hole,
Mhm.
essentially, bit by bit. And all of a sudden, you're going to be in your new life and you're going to be like, wow.
And you know what? Another good thing is writing about the shitty times now, because a year later, 6 months later, whatever later, you're gonna look back and be like, "Oh God, I remember that," you know. And it also reminds you like this isn't where you want to go back to. So it's helpful to write it in a way too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's what we've got for you today. And
Yes,
if your soul's being sucked, hang in there, pal.
we got you. We've all been there. We are still there right now.
Yeah.
And some we go ebbs and flows, but we can get out of it.
Yeah.
So. Thank you for listening and watching, and we are the
The
girls
girls
next
next
pour.
pour.